Hi, friends. This is Jay Reganetter. I am the chair of the Board of Trustees for the University of Illinois Wesley Foundation, and it's my privilege to bring us another segment of Where Are They Now? And this is our first segment of Where Are They Now, where we are interviewing former staff members. And it's my privilege today to interview Reverend Rob Kirby, who previously served as campus minister. So, Rob, thanks for being with us today. And we'd love for you to start out by sharing with us where you live now and what you're doing.
Sure. It is my honor and privilege to walk and speak back into the Wesley Foundation. Sometimes I say you can leave the Wesley Foundation at the University of Illinois, but it will never leave you. There is a magic that happens at that place, a spirit that blows through the building and the people that is powerful. And you all and your place, your space, your ministry is still with me. So since I left you, I spent a brief period at Montana State University in Billings, Montana. Did 4 years there. And then in 2017, I landed here in Corvallis, Oregon at Oregon State University. Go Beavs. The good news is I could pull out all my orange apparel back from my U of I days and get a second life out of them here at Oregon State University. So I am at a ministry called WestM, or United Campus Ministry at Westminster House. It is an ecumenical campus ministry. Officially, we are United Methodist, Presbyterian USA, United Church of Christ, and Disciples of Christ are the four traditions that we spring from. But it's a unique, wonderful place. Yeah, I was just kind of looking at where things are at this year in our ministry here in Corvallis and realized that we are probably the single largest progressive campus ministry anywhere on the West Coast right now, right here in little old Corvallis. It's just a dynamic ministry. We've got we're 103 years into our campus ministry, so we're a few years after yours. And for most of that history, we've been an ecumenical ministry. And if you don't know Corvallis, we are south of Portland, about an hour and a half. Like most states, we have two big state schools. This is the land grant college that does agriculture and engineering. So much like the University of Illinois, kind of a similar temperament in some of our students. One of the kind of stronger universities in this part of the world. My ministry here is as the director and campus minister. So in that capacity, I am charged with students, faculty, and staff and creating programs that are life-giving to them. So officially, we are United, or WestM is an Center for Justice, Peace, and Community. That comes from a progressive Christian tradition, but is a home for anyone and everyone who wants to do justice, peace, or community with us. And very much are doing that here. I am here with my wife, Darcy, which some of you all may remember. She is teaching preschool at a Montessori school here in town. My kids are grown. They are seniors in college this year. One of the twins is down at Arizona State University, and the other one lives here local and does e-campus at Oregon State. And then our oldest, Chet, he is up in Montana. So he kind of splits his time fighting wildfires in the summer and working at a ski resort in the winter. So that's kind of what we're up to here.
Wow. That's really cool because I can remember back when I first met you, thinking about how small the kids were, and you know how much time passes, and you know you still look the same. So kudos to you for that, Rob.
Good filters on my camera, I think. Yeah, actually, with the twins, when I came down to be presented before the Wesley Foundation there, their SPRC or whatever they called it. Literally on our drive there for that introduction was when we got the call that we were going to be adopting, or the date that we would be going to adopt the twins. So we were right in the mix of bringing them into our family when we moved there. And it's just hard to believe that they are grown and blowing the coop now.
Awesome. So we know you were the campus minister during your time that you were here at Wesley. Tell us a story about your time as campus minister, something that was meaningful, a funny story about something that happened with students, or something that's an important memory for you.
Oh my gosh. So I was there for 10 years. And there's just a flood of so many good memories. I guess here's one about the Holy Spirit, that somehow God works in ways that you least expect God to work. And I was maybe my third year there, second or third year, and my wife wanted to recruit college students to work in a grade school haunted house she was doing. So I came to the students and said, hey, do any of you college students want to help with this recreation department haunted house? And a few of them said, yeah. And then they're like, no, we want to do one here. And my response was, oh no, I'm committed to that. If you want to do one, you do one. It's on you. I'll give you permission. I'll help you out, but it's yours. And out of that grew some of the most vital leadership that I experienced there. Some of the most vibrant times of learning what it means to welcome students in there. And by my second or third year, that haunted house was the biggest one in the county for sure, and was just something that brought life to the ministry in all kinds of wonderful ways, and brought a cross section of students into the ministry that we wouldn't have touched otherwise. Obviously, we donated money to the food pantry out of the proceeds raised from that. But yeah, I was just amazed at watching how God can take something as simple and secular as a haunted house and really create dynamic ministry with it.
That's awesome. When you think back over your 10 years at Wesley, what ministry would you say impacted you the most?
Gosh, that's like asking you to pick your favorite child. Um, some of the pieces, I always tell people the easiest one for me to run was the International Coffee House. And it was easy because both the volunteers who were helping with it and the students, mostly international, they loved that ministry so much. I could not keep them away on a Friday night if I had to. They absolutely loved it. They loved that time together of obviously sharing culture with each other, but sharing lives at very deep levels, becoming family with all of those people. And then, of course, the international flavor that brought to my own life again, but also to all the ministry as those students kind of percolated into other areas, just the impact that it had on Wesley. I know it impacted their lives. I continue to be in contact with many of those former students, but we benefited so much from that as well. So that was clearly one thing that impacted me powerfully. The other thing was the Wednesday night, the midweek worship. That quickly became kind of the core of the leadership team. All my student peer leaders were somehow involved with that. And kind of through the years, as various students went on to become ministers themselves or serving full-time within service organizations or churches, I know how critical that time was together in Wednesday night. So yeah, those are probably the two that leap out at me.
That's great. I love that those are so diverse too, in terms of things that impacted you. Um, can you think of maybe uh, something that stands out to you as a way that you saw students' lives that were transformed?
I'm thinking of the mission trips. There's always something unique when you spend a week together away, particularly if that away is in a foreign country or at least a culture, even in the US, that becomes radically different than our own. Um, I know I saw students change their vocation on those trips. Um, I know I saw students understand themselves better in terms of where they fit into the larger world, both in terms of culturally as Americans. For many of them, it was their first chance to get a US passport and to travel abroad, but also social economically, kind of seeing not what it is to work across those differences, but to realize those differences don't really make us that much different, that we're all the same people and working together and living together with the same aches and pains, needs, expectations, and hopes. Um, I know that those were always powerful experiences. When I first got there, I thought, hey, I get paid to go on vacation every year. I quickly learned there's a lot of work in running one of those trips, and the amount of exhaustion that you come back with definitely means it's a work trip. Um, but it's a work that transforms lives, certainly for the students who win.
That's great. And Rob, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about um, your family, about what you're doing now, that you think alumni would be interested in knowing?
Yeah, you all are still with me in really wonderful ways. Quite literally, I have board members here who are alumni from the foundation there, who preceded me in coming here and knew about me because they'd been reading in the alumni newsletter um, that I was going there even before they heard it in circles here. Um, Another thread that kind of started there that has continued and grown um, was the Rainbow Coffee House that we helped host on in the middle of the week with the local Pride, the um, University of Illinois Pride Center, or they had different names during my tenure there. But it's just a gathering, a safe space for students to come and hang out that wasn't a dark bar in a dark alley somewhere, but a place where they could be their full, authentic selves. Um, I came a long way in getting to know that community and the needs there. Um, it then followed me when I went to Billings, Montana. Um, Became very active with the out student group there. And one of my early student leaders came up to me and said, Rob, you know that Rainbow Coffee House back in Illinois? We need one here. But not for the college students, the high school students. And he started telling stories about how horrific it had been for him growing up as a gay student in the high schools and how little support there was. So we launched a Rainbow Coffee House for high school students there.
Mm.
And it was transformative for the students who attended there. Um, we got to the point where all the local counselors in town knew that as they were counseling with students struggling with this issue, that they could send their high school students to that coffee house and they would get care, support, and understanding. Um, We had doctors who, when there would be suicide attempts around LGBTQ issues, which is all too common, um, they would say, you need to find a healthy community. Why don't you go to the Rainbow Coffee House? Um, and it just became this sweet spot of acceptance. We ran it out of Grace United Methodist Church there. Um, and its biggest success was after I left, um, which is always telling when you have a ministry that the energy, the spirit is there, and it's not about you as a leader. It's about God meeting needs, and certainly was a case with that. It's since spun off as a separate 501c3. It's still vibrant. It's still meeting students where they are. Um, that thread then continues as I move out here. We are a reconciling ministry here, and very much understood within the LGBT community as a safe space to be, even as churches say such horrific things in the name of Christ sometimes. Students find their way back into campus ministry, into spiritual life, because we welcome, we accept, we encourage, we include at all levels. And that started for me back at the University of Illinois, and figuring out what it means to be in ministry with marginalized communities and those at the very edges. So I appreciate that.
Well, Rob, thank you for taking so much time to spend with me today and to give us some updates on what's going on with you. And I know that the alumni are going to appreciate the chance to hear what's been going on for you and for your family. So for those of you who joined us today, if you are interested in making one of these videos, please reach out to engage@wesleyui.org. And we'll be happy to get you scheduled to do one of these. And if you are in touch with any other former staff that you would like to hear from as well and think others would like to hear from, please let us know that as well.